Welcome back to another video, guys, and today, unfortunately, we're gonna have to talk about why I have sold my OnePlus 7 Pro. The OnePlus 7 Pro isn't that old. It came out in May, so it's about 5 months old, 4 months old to be technical about it, and it's already being outdated. So next week, OnePlus is going to be launching the 7T and 7T Pro. Wow, that's a mouthful. So the 7T and 7T Pro are gonna be coming out, and of course, they're gonna leave this useless now. I mean, not useless, but you know what I mean. This, in the tech world, this is now old news, and that sucks. You know, I can't have that. But no, the real reasons that I'm actually getting rid of this phone aren't just because the new one's coming out. Of course, they're a factor, but the real reason comes down to being, starting off with, I just never fell in love with it. Now, for me, I fall in love with anything, you know, especially when it comes to phones. That sounded weird. Don't take that out of context and make some weird clips out of it. But yes, I do easily fall in love with tech. I love most of the tech I own, and I would shudder at the thought of giving it up or selling it to someone or just, you know, not having it anymore. I love collecting tech. I love using tech, and giving it up isn't easy for me. But this phone doesn't feel that hard. I'm more than okay having someone else take this phone off my hands and give me money in return. And that just goes to show, you know, that's a big reason I just couldn't fall in love with this phone. And I'll explain to you a little bit more why I think I didn't fall in love. I can't obviously know why exactly I didn't, but the second thing I have to say is this isn't a special phone. The last two OnePlus phones I've bought, they're both special editions. The OnePlus 6 was the Avenger Special Edition. The 6T was the McLaren Special Edition. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of the phones per se, I have a lot of issues with them, I love that they're special editions. Their finishes are super unique. The touches that come with them, the experience of that makes it worth it for me. With this phone, it's nothing. It's just another OnePlus phone that will be forgotten a year and a half from now. And I'm not really that into it, so there's no reason for me to keep it around. That's why I sold my 5T as well. I do have the 3T, the 6, and the 6T, but yeah, that's gonna be the 3 I keep. The 7T, I might not even buy if the special edition doesn't come out, because I'm not really interested in the 7 series as it is right now. I want them to make a few changes before I get on board. And that one of those changes has to be that display. So while the curved display looks great on paper, it looks great in promos, and you know, it's a great talking point, in reality, the display, the way it's curved, the design is not good. The curve is way too aggressive. It doesn't allow, you know, it just doesn't feel good to me. I can noticeably feel the curve when I'm using the screen, and it's not something I like. Samsung has kind of nailed the curved display. They don't have it curve until the absolute end, and then it just kind of falls off. So a big portion of the screen is actually flat, and then only the edges fall off. I would prefer that, or I just honestly prefer a flat display. I promise you that would not be an issue with me. And the other thing has to be that the palm rejection with that display just is so horrific that using it one-handed is impossible. I have to have it in two hands like this. Otherwise, the phone just, you know, a lot of false touches when I'm trying to use it one-handed. That doesn't work for me. I want to be able to use the phone one-handed. And, you know, another thing with the display, again, not OnePlus's fault here, but a reason why I am not falling in love with the phone is that I can't watch full screen content on a lot of apps. So Amazon Prime and Hulu, the top two that come off the top of my head, I can't go full screen in them. And you have two giant black bars on each side, and then you have the aggressive curve on the top and bottom, and the viewing experience is just not fun. When it's full screen, you can kind of ignore the curves, I think, but when it's not full screen, I can't, like, it's just, at that point, I just rather watch it on something like an iPhone, because at least the flat screen and everything is better that way, and I can deal with the notch or just not do it. But yeah, rambling aside, I don't like that that experience doesn't translate through. Some apps do it, you know, YouTube, Netflix do let you do that, but I would really like it if every app did that. And I watch my content from a lot of different sources, so I can't just pick and choose that way. So that's another reason why I just haven't been able to get to really enjoy this phone. And while talking about the phone and not being able to enjoy it, another big reason is because it's so heavy and so large that it's impossible for me to comfortably use it. I have, you know, everybody on YouTube loves to talk about how big their hand is. I have no idea if my hand is supposed to be big or small, or, you know, what the case is, but I would say most people who I meet have smaller hands than me, and so just by that basis alone, I'd say I have at least above average sized hands. And even for me, the OnePlus 7 Pro is absolutely uncomfortable. It's way too heavy, it's too wide, and it's too tall. Something needs to change about that design to make it a little bit more comfortable in the hand, preferably make it a little bit smaller. I feel like these companies are just making phones bigger now because that's supposed to mean something. That's supposed to say that you're the better phone if you're bigger. I don't get that. And I honestly would just prefer a little bit more of a comfortable phone over a large, massive one. So another thing that I spoke about in a video before this, if you guys watched that, is that the phone, when I'm using navigation, it does overheat on me, and it overheats, it locks itself out, and I can't have that, especially when I'm using navigation, because if I'm using navigation, it's to go somewhere I don't know the way, I don't know the directions to, and I can't just have the phone just lock out while I'm driving and, potentially a place that I have no idea where I am at. So it's just something that I have lost faith in. I'm not very happy with that. I've never had overheating issues aside from the navigation, but that is a major enough issue for me that I can't deal with it. Another thing is that in 2019, OnePlus has no excuse not to have wireless charging. Now, they have glass-backed phone. It's not like their phone is all metal or something. They have to include wireless charging now. I am sick of not having wireless charging. I get it. Warp charging is fast. It's awesome, blah, blah, blah. It's the convenience factor here. Every other phone I have is wireless chargeable capable right now, and it makes my life so much easier because I don't have to search for cables. There's a pad, I plop it down on the pad, it charges, I pick it up, and I'm ready to go. I usually don't need to fast charge most of my phones because their batteries are so big. I just need to do it overnight. So a pad is way more comfortable than having to search for wires. And another thing, I really didn't think this would happen, because when I first saw the Nebula blue color, I was in love. It was like they made the color for me because I love dark blue. But when I got it in hand, the one thing I noticed is that this translates differently on camera than it does in person. So it looks a lot darker on camera, but in person it's way too light for my liking. I'm not a fan of light blue. I really like my darker blues, and I could never get to really like this lighter blue color. I really thought I would, but whenever I look at a mirror gray phone now, I'm like, shit, I should have got the mirror gray. I don't know why I got the Nebula blue, but just another thing that really made me not have a connection with this phone. And finally, we have to talk about the next one. So the next phone is coming out in, I think, like 6 days now, or 5 days, something like that. And after that phone comes out, the values on this will tank. So I already took a bath on this one. I've lost a couple $100. It is what it is. The OnePlus just doesn't hold its value as well as iPhones do. So within the span of 5 months, I've lost, what, 20-ish% of value, 25-ish. And I can't do anything about it, because if I don't sell it now, it's just gonna drop even more after the 17 Pro gets announced, and people are more excited to buy that and don't want to buy the older one unless it's at a discount. Of course, that's how the market works. I understand it, but I'm not going to fall victim to that because I clearly am not keeping this one. I'm going to sell it anyway, so I just sold it now, got it out of the way. And this kind of just all ties into where I'm not happy with OnePlus, and I've complained about them multiple times on this particular aspect, and that is that they keep releasing phones every 6 months. So every 6 months there's a new phone. I've started to lose interest now. I'm not really caring about OnePlus phones. They come out, I look at them, oh wow, that's cool. 2 weeks go by and I forget about them. I put them to the side and I'm done with them. I really don't enjoy them as much because I'm always thinking, this one's missing stuff. The next one will probably have it. And then that cycle just keeps continuing. And because you don't wait a year or a little bit more potentially like you do with other phones, you just you get used to it. And I can't even recommend these phones past like 3 months after they come out. So there's like a narrow buying window where you can buy the phone and not feel like it's outdated like in a couple of weeks. So that's the issue here. I would like OnePlus to become a little bit more conscious of what they're doing. They can't keep raising prices every time they release a phone every 6 months, because in the last 3 years they've jumped in price significantly when you look at what the OnePlus 5 cost to what the 7 Pro cost. And honestly speaking, the experience as a whole is not changing that much. And that's not a bad thing, it's just the way it is. You can't keep charging like that every 6 months. You need to figure out, either fix a price point and then release your 6 month cycle, or if you're gonna increase prices, it needs to have more stuff. It needs to be spaced out a little bit, in my opinion. So that's it for this one, guys. I am saying goodbye to the OnePlus 7 Pro. Not gonna miss it. It's a decent phone. If you like the OnePlus phones, you're gonna like this. You know, it's not a bad phone in any way, but it's just not something that hit the heart for me. So it goes bye-bye. If you haven't already, guys, I would really appreciate it if you followed me on social media. I'll have all the links down in the description below. And please don't forget to subscribe for eventually the next OnePlus phone that I'll end up buying. I get suckered into buying every one somehow, so I will probably buy it. So subscribe to the channel for more content. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.